Namaste. This is Natasha from Eye on Light, Eye on Jyotish. I would like to share some of my my knowledge of this upcoming powerful transit. Maybe you've already heard, many astrologers have already shared what they believe this transit is about. And I would like to share you my viewpoint. So right now, if we look into the sky, Sun is in the sign of Scorpio, and Ketu has been there for quite some time already. We've felt this energy since the beginning of this year, and it will stay with us till the end of March of 2022. And then Ketu will be leaving in to Libra, which is a lot lighter energy than it is in Scorpio. So let me first talk a little bit about Scorpio. Scorpio is a very intense sign. It is ruled by the planet Mars. So it's got already a lot of fire, a lot of heat, a lot of intensity. But unlike a Leo or an Aries, Aries is also ruled by Mars. Scorpions tend to be a little bit more introvert than an Aries. And this is because they're ruled by the water element Scorpio. So when we put water and fire together, there's a lot of steam. So it can create a lot of confusion. And that is exactly what I feel is really happening in the world today. There's a lot of confused people. Who do we believe? Who is telling us the truth? Who is lying? And in that confusion, a lot of people are becoming divided, and we're starting to lose our friends, and we're starting to lose our communities because somehow we feel they're not longer aligning with our viewpoints. And this is a very unfortunate thing, because if we look at Mars coming into Scorpio at the beginning of December, the Sun is becoming eclipsed by Ketu around December 4th and December 5th. Ketu is very fiery. Yeah, it acts almost like Mars. Then you have Mars there, plus a very hot planet like the Sun. It's a lot of fireworks. But I believe that this is not an energy that is going to bring about massive wars, like some astrologers have said, and that there is like massive violence. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that this is asking us to remove anything that is violent towards ourselves. In other words, Ketu is the spiritualizing effect of the south node of the moon. It spiritualizes our life. And often, how do we turn more spiritual or religious or moving closer towards something greater than ourselves is in times of adversity, in times of great loss, in times of despair. And I would say that these last 2 years that we've been in COVID, there's been a lot of loss for people, loss of jobs, loss of stability, loss of being able to travel. We're kind of stuck in our homes. We have lost a little bit our sense of self. And I would say the globe as a whole has lost its way a little bit, because the way that our wheels were turning are no longer turning the same way. So there's a sense of deep loss within people. But it's within that sense of loss, a great rebirth can happen. And I feel this is exactly what this moment in time is going to offer to us. That is an immense time for rebirthing ourselves. And for everybody, that is going to look a little bit different. My rebirth will look different than your rebirth, and your rebirth will look different than your spouses, your friends, or your family members, or anyone that you might know within your communities. And I think we need to start to access the higher energies of Sun and Mars through this Ketu, through this energy of letting go of what we think we should be doing, how we should be living, letting go of my rights, and starting to look at it from a different point of view. And then we can access the higher energies of Mars, which is bravery, courageousness, which is higher love. If we think of Hanuman, who is the deity, the monkey god in the Hindu tradition, he is the courageous one. And why is he courageous? Because he lives with his heart wide open. He follows the nudges of his heart. He doesn't get swayed and deluded by the forces from outside of himself. And he stays anchored, and it's through that courageousness and following the nudges of his heart that great victory is achieved. So this time is not a time to be fearful. This is not a time to think, oh, the end of the world is here. No, there may be the end of the world in how we were moving before COVID, but there's a rebirth happening. And I believe a higher consciousness is being birthed at this moment. And we have an amazing opportunity to grow, evolve, and transform in this time. For those of us who are in the Northern Hemisphere, our days are shorter right now. The nights are long and dark. There is less light. But it's in those times when we don't see as much light that we realize how important it is to fertilize the light within. And that is also what Christmas is about. And this was also the message of Yeshua, or Jesus, that the light is within. The light is not to be found outside of you. The light is always within. So this Mars Sun Ketu transit is about each individual here on Earth going inward, deeper into the depths, like Scorpios do, into the depth of your emotions, into the depths of your feelings, and really align yourself what you believe is the truth. Are you living in the highest love and the highest compassion? Do you care about your neighbor? Can you come to that place of selflessness, which requires immense amount of courage? When each person on this earth moves into that direction, then we can elevate the vibrations of earth. Then we can coexist with one another. We can be seated beside someone that might have a different opinion about what this virus means, or how to combat the virus, or how one should live or believe or think. It's okay to have different points of view. Because if we think about points of view, if we have this big circle, imagine a big circle, which is whole, just like this creation is whole. Within the center of this circle, we find a dot. And this is the absolute intelligence, which we cannot even start to comprehend. But from that beginning point, in the middle of that circle, from that middle point, billions, trillions of little points can come away from that great big center point. They're all coming from that one great big point in the center. So even though each point is different, and some points start to move really far from the intelligence itself, it is still part of the truth. So even when people don't believe the same things as you do, or have a different point of view, have to realize that even that is part of the entire truth, and that there's different levels of truth, but they all belong to the one truth. And that everybody's truth is for them at that moment. You might be at a different time and place, and that truth no longer serves you, and you see it from a different angle. You can't force another individual to see it from your advantage view, because that person hasn't journeyed in the same way you have. So there's great violence if we start to force our point of views on other individuals. So the best thing we can do is work on ourselves. Love our neighbors, even if they see things wrong, even if they see things wrong to your viewpoint, because it actually isn't wrong, it's still truth. but from your vantage view, it looks like it's not your truth. And that is a really important difference that we must understand. That just because someone has a different point of view doesn't make them wrong or make you right. Because they could be both right and wrong at the same time. And so I think this Sun, Mars, Ketu conjunction, this transit, this immense eclipse that's happening, is for us to align ourselves to our heart. And not the heart that is attached to the lower self, but the heart that is always in attunement and alignment to your highest nature. And your highest nature is always in attunement with source. It is never separate. That is the entire illusion or the entire ignorance that we fall into when we take this walk in the physical. So I highly recommend to use these next weeks to really reflect what is important in your life. What makes your heart sing? What makes you joyous? And start to live by those principles. Because when you work with the energy of love, there is never any wrongdoing in that. There can only be triumph and victory. And that can lead us to higher states of evolution on this earth, where we can finally, at some point, have peace. Namaste.